Is UGREEN's DXP 4800 Plus worth all the money? Can it deliver fast read and write speeds without making you remortgage your house for those high-end SSDs? And does it have a powerful alternative to those expensive cloud services and media servers? In this hands-on review, we'll cover key capabilities of the DXP 4800 Plus, including centralized storage, media services, reliability, availability, performance, and ease of use. We'll also touch on privacy. UGREEN promises cloud-like capabilities without your data ever leaving your home. With cloud storage prices on the rise and privacy concerns now joining us at the dinner table, I'm going to put the UGREEN DXP 4800 Plus to the test. But before I dive in, I have one quick favor to ask. Please subscribe to this channel. It's free, it helps this channel grow, and it keeps you in the loop of the latest camera gear and tech without you having to share your blood type to a marketing algorithm. UGREEN sent me the DXP 4800 Plus to review, but this isn't some sort of paid promotion, and UGREEN didn't tell me what to say, although they were pretty eager for me to speak about its media center capabilities, of which I'll cover more in detail later on. Suffice it to say, I was actually kind of blown away by them. They weren't some sort of marketing fluff. But that being said, I did give them a chance to review this video for accuracy, because nothing grinds my gears more than uploading a video only to realize a little bit later on that I got some sort of fundamental aspect or fact wrong. This is my honest, hands-on opinion as, well, as a former senior systems and network administrator and current media center aficionado and video editor. As this is a rather long video, I recommend using the chapters down below to skip to the bits that you care about. I'll start with a quick overview of what a NAS is, followed by the setup process, and then we'll dive into a full review. The DXP 4800 Plus is a NAS, which stands for Network Attached Storage. Think of it as your own private cloud. I mean, literally. I mean, the main difference between one of those professional cloud services and this network attached storage is simply scale and, of course, that large support team. Well, there is one other difference. The DXP 4800 Plus doesn't mine your photos for marketing insights. The test setup includes the DXP 4800 Plus and Western Digital Red Plus drives. Now, the drives are combined together to create one large virtual drive. And when you do this, you can actually deliver SSD-like read and write performance with added redundancy as a bonus. Now, depending on the RAID configuration used, the drives slot in easily and lock with a satisfying click when you press the tab. Now we're ready to turn it on and connect it to the router. You'll hear one of those satisfying beeps when it's online and ready to connect. Navigate to find.ugnas.com. Click Connect. Give the user agreement a skim, tick the checkbox, and accept. Now for this next section, take about 30 minutes if you're new to setting up a NAS, and possibly a cup of tea, or a coffee if you're in the United States. Click Start, give your NAS a name, set your username and password. And don't forget your password unless, of course, you enjoy explaining to your future self why you locked yourself out of your own server. Now I use a password manager myself because, well, I'm always forgetting things. Select your update preferences. I prefer to be notified when updates are available. Now click Initialize. This can take a few minutes depending on the size of the drives you have. We're almost done. Now it's time to set up the storage pool and volume. Go into Storage Manager. First up, RAID type. As a former senior systems and network engineer, I recommend using RAID 5, at least with this amount of drives. Now, RAID 5, it creates a virtual drive with each file being written being spread across equally all 4 disks. Now, 1/4 of that usable information or space is lost due to redundancy. But if a single drive fails in that array, well, the DXP 4800 Plus can rebuild your data without you having to lose anything, without a meltdown. And that's all due to that redundancy. RAID 6, on the other hand, adds added protection from 2 drive failures, while RAID 1 mirrors your data. I like RAID 1. It's good for safety, but you lose half of your usable space. And RAID 0? Well, that's for all the speed demons out there. It's all about raw speed. There's no safety net. If one drive fails, the entire array goes full Titanic. Select all 4 disks, you'll get the option to run a hard disk test. It runs in the background, and it's better to find out a dodgy disk now than 3 weeks into a project deadline. Choose your file system and block size. I'm creating one large array. To share it, open File Manager, choose Personal Folder if it's just for you, Shared Folder for collaborative use, and User Folder for admin use. I'm going to create a shared folder called OF Repository. Assign permissions in the control panel by adding new users. Go to File Service and then click SMB and enable it. This setup is actually pretty straightforward, but I'm a former senior systems and network administrator and I've done these in the past. If you've never touched a NAS or a RAID configuration before, do yourself a favor. Watch a few tutorials and take some notes. Or don't and enjoy the thrill of wondering whether you've just deleted your wedding videos. The actual process of setting up the array took me 6 hours using these 4 terabyte drives. But now let's see how fast this DXP 4800 Plus actually is when configured with RAID 5. RAID 5 gives us a performance boost by writing to multiple disks at once, or reading to multiple disks at once. Now, a single hard disk will top out at around 200 megabytes per second. That's for a 7200 RPM drive. An NVMe SSD, well, that's around 5,000 megabytes per second or more. And a SATA SSD tops out at around 500 to 550 megabytes per second. But before purchasing or going through this setup, check the long list of drives that are actually supported by UGREEN's DXP 4800 Plus. They've got more than most of their competitors, and if you want a happy life, don't go off script here. Now, before I got the DXP 4800 Plus for review, I was using an 8 terabyte, was it Western Digital? I can't remember if it was Western Digital, but I was using that hard drive as an archive for my B-roll and certain key projects. They're reliable, but slow, maxing out at around 166 megabytes per second. That's sustained read and 170 megabytes per second sustained write. The Angelbird AtomX 1 terabyte SSD reads at a sustained 411 megabytes per second and writes at a sustained 483 megabytes per second. My internal NVMe drive, over 5,000 megabytes per second read sustained and 5,200 megabytes per second write. The DXP 4800 Plus provides a sustained read and write speed of around 50 megabytes per second, or about 400 megabits per second. I know, it sounds super slow, right? But that's because I'm running this test over Wi-Fi, which is the actual bottleneck here. Now, while pretty fast at just under 700 megabits per second, that's my network speed using Wi-Fi 6E, I believe, that's bits per second. Slow when it comes to physical transfers. If I connect my computer directly to the NAS, I get a much faster sustained write speed of 250 megabytes per second, and a sustained read speed of about the same, which makes sense considering I'm using 5400 RPM drives. Now, if I was using 7200 RPM drives, I could probably get somewhere between 300 and 400 megabytes per second. Now, if you think that still seems slow, well, you're likely watching way too many Apple keynotes. 250 megabytes per second is more than fast enough to edit 4K workflows. I have no problems editing videos for this channel, including this video, scrubbing the footage, even playing back footage at 3 to 4 times the normal speed. The point of this video is to understand the value of the DXP 4800 Plus. It allows me to bring all my files together, so there's that. Provides redundancy in the event that I lose a drive, and that's significant. And it allows me to edit 4K workflows directly off the NAS. However, there are ways to eke out more performance without breaking the bank by adding another SSD for caching, using 7200 RPM drives and connecting it directly to your computer. Or maybe consider the UGREEN 6 or 8 bay NAS products, which are covered in a separate video. So you might be wondering, how much does all this cost you? My test setup, which includes the UGREEN DXP 4800 Plus, along with the 4 terabyte Western Digital Plus hard drives, runs a total price of $1,029.95. That's $629.99 for the DXP 4800 Plus and $399.96 for the 4 hard drives, which are currently on sale. The DXP 4800 Plus is designed for small to medium NAS workloads. It has a one-time payment, no subscriptions, and you own everything including your data and your privacy. We could compare this to cloud storage costs and claim a break-even at around 18 months. Apple charges just $12.99 a month for 2 terabytes, $39.99 for 6 terabytes, and $79.99 a month for 12 terabytes. That's the same amount of storage that I have in this array. But this isn't strictly about saving money. It's about control of your data. It stays local, not sold to the highest bidder. And that's a big deal. No tracking, no AI reading your files in a foreign location. No surprise fees because someone in accounting discovered you're over your quota. But let's get one thing straight. A NAS isn't a backup. It's taking a group of slower disks, putting them together to provide redundancy, so if you lose one disk, you're safe. And it also provides you with faster read and write speeds. But it won't help you in a flood, a fire, or heaven forbid, a burglary. It protects against hardware failure, not some sort of natural disaster or human-made disaster. If your data matters, back it up. Use a cloud service like Blackblaze. Another option is to back up your array to a single hard disk or tape and keep it off-site. If you haven't already purchased your drives, think carefully about which size drives you purchase. Because if you've ever had a drive failure, the most stressful part of the whole process is the rebuild time. It can take anywhere from 5 hours all the way up to a week. Ryan, go ahead and cue the slide. If one of my Western Digital 4 terabyte drives failed at around 10% capacity or less, it could take 5 hours to rebuild. But at 25% full, that jumps to over 8 hours, and 17 hours at 50% full. But at 75% full, the rebuild time is 25 hours. That's a full day. I recommend sticking to drives that aren't any bigger than 10 terabytes. You can also reduce the rebuild times by using 7200 RPM drives over 5400 RPM drives. They take that much less time. The other consideration, make sure you're using NAS running on a battery backup power such as an APS-C battery backup. A power interruption while you're rebuilding the array, well, it could be, and most likely would be, catastrophic. And if you're not on battery backup, yeah, definitely don't turn on caching. If the power goes out while files are waiting in the queue to be written, well, bad things are definitely going to happen. UGREEN's NAS supports up to 112 terabytes. That's 1.7 million RAW files, 11 million JPEGs, and 57,000 movies. And because it's networked, you can share your projects, your files with your family, your friend, your team, or that one friend that still asks if JPEGs are print ready. Syncing with Google Drive is simple, but the transfer speeds will be greatly slower than transferring locally using the NAS sync. This 1.4 gigabyte file took 6 seconds to copy from my computer to the NAS, but copying to Google Drive took 6 minutes. The media server capabilities are a standout feature. The Photos app is reminiscent of Apple's Photos in the Cloud. Like Apple, it allows me to create albums, organize photos, tag favorites, and display photos by location, who's in the photo, and even provides AI search capabilities. I believe I have some photos of when I was in New York, so let's go ahead and search and see what comes up. Well, it definitely caught the photos of New York in the first line. And while it isn't 100% all the time, it's very good at helping you find the photos lost in the pack. The photo and AI capabilities make the NAS sync feel like a premium product. But wait, there's more. It also comes with a theater app, and it's so simple and easy to set up compared to the competition like Plex. Give it a name, set your language, provide it with the import folder, and click Save. Plex isn't this fast. It immediately loads up your shows and the metadata information, along with the thumbnails for each show and episode. It even loaded up the cast quicker than I can navigate from one show to the next. These two apps set the DXP 4800 Plus apart from the competition. In fact, I could do a separate review video, a full 10 minutes long. Now, who's kidding who? I could probably do 20 or 30 minutes long just looking at the theater app alone. But the App Center offers many more apps like a music app, a virtual machine. I like what UGREEN's doing here. This isn't just a NAS. It's a home theater. It's a way of bringing your photos and your music together. It's about sharing, collaboration. This isn't some sort of marketing hype. I'm really impressed with how it does all of this while protecting your data, adding data redundancy, increasing the speed at what you can access your content, all while keeping it safe in your own home without having to pay high cloud storage costs on a monthly basis. The DXP 4800 Plus is well suited for small businesses or families that want control and provide data redundancy without sacrificing privacy. The UI and software stack are solid, and the AI photo features are more than just window dressing. And if you're mainly a video editor like I am, I do recommend the 8-bay NAS for those higher transfer speeds. But for photo storage, backup, and general productivity, as well as a home media server, the DXP 4800 Plus really does hit the sweet spot. But with all that said and done, it's very important to think about the size of the drives that you purchase. It really is a good system. But again, we have to go back to that foundation, which is built upon redundancy. Think very carefully about the size of the drives that you purchase and put in this array. If one of my drives failed while at 10% use, it would take about 5 hours to rebuild. At 25%, that jumps to over 8 hours, and over a day at 75% full. And please consider purchasing some sort of battery backup, especially while you're rebuilding your array. A failure at that point would be absolutely catastrophic. But this review is one of those reviews that I look forward to. The last media server that I had, it was probably about 15 years ago, and it cost me about $3,200 to build. It was running on Windows Server Data Center Edition. It was far from easy to set up. I had somebody else help me set it up, even though I was a network administrator, because it was dealing with technology that I hadn't dealt with before. And the drives, they were only 250 gigabytes, but I was able to get faster speeds because they were 7,200 RPM drives, and I had 8 of them in the array. If you're looking to save money on cloud storage costs, I highly recommend the DXP 4800 Plus, but also consider the 6-bay and the 8-bay units because, well, the more drives you have, the faster transfer speeds, which is important if you're doing video editing. But not only that, you can also unlock RAID 6. I don't recommend RAID 6 for 4 drives, but as you move up to, let's say, 8 drives, then RAID 6 is very important. So if you're doing a rebuild and one of them fails again, you're still safe. The problem with hard drives is, those 4 hard drives that I have, they were all off the same batch, installed at the same time. So when one hard drive fails, those other hard drives, it's probably years down the road, and they're getting a little bit up there in age. It's a very stressful time, not just for you, but for the drives, and I've seen it happen myself. It's not uncommon that when one drive fails, another one isn't too far behind. So if you're looking at larger drive packs like the I can't remember the name of it, but the 8-bay unit, I would definitely set up RAID 6 because these arrays give you redundancy. They don't provide you a backup, and don't forget to do a backup with using tape backup, whether you're just having another, let's say, Western Digital 20 terabyte drive or a 12 terabyte drive and you're just copying off onto it monthly, which is what I do. And if you're just dealing with movies and TV shows and photos, then maybe you'd only need to do that once every 2 months, 6 months, or a year. It's highly recommended because content matters. A lot of these videos that I shoot, I delete them right after I'm done because I would need petabytes of information. But for my photos, my videos, the movies that I create, I have those scattered across multiple different media because losing them would indeed be catastrophic. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's very much appreciated. If you have any other questions about the DXP 4800 Plus, then post them in the comment section down below. Even if you're watching this video some couple of years after it was put out there. I'm actually going to keep the DXP 4800 Plus into production, at least for a couple of months. This process has woken me up to the need or the importance of having redundancy in my work life. And that's important. But I think with a lot of the file transfer that I do, because this project alone will probably use about 300 gigabytes of data. So transferring off of the CF Express cards or the Angelbird or the Ninja 5's Angelbird 1 terabyte AtomX SSD, well, that would take a long time. So the faster speeds I can get, the better, and maybe even doing some SSD caching. But again, if you're not on battery backup, don't use caching. Don't cache files waiting to be written, because you get a power outage and you've got files that are waiting to be written or that are being written in certain sequential order. It's going to give you a bad day. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.